You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
Right, so we're now joined with Robert and Chris. We're out and about and we're at the latest Creative People and Places event here at the Chatham Library. I'm going to speak to Chris first, and I was hoping you could perhaps give us a bit of an overview on today's event.
Well, Daniel, the overview is that the weather's terrible, of course, but that doesn't really matter because we're pressing on with looking at this really quite important space in Medway between the bus station and the river, and we're looking at the way in which really we can help illuminate the future of that place by engaging the local people with thoughts about its future, working with artists, with designers, with ourselves at Kent Architecture Centre, students from University of Kent, and really just start to think, well, what is its history? A lot of its history. What does its history tell us about its future? And how can we think about what it means to us and put that into planning for its future and shaping it? So it's all about shaping the future of a very important place in Medway.
Now, Robert, thank you firstly for speaking to us. And I think hopefully you're going to be able to take me on a little tour on what actually is here at today's event.
Yes, absolutely. We've the whole theme, as Chris has introduced to, is the kind of future. But to look at the future, we're looking at a series of things from the past, the present, and then looking into what this space might hold tomorrow. So we've got, starting with the past, we've got a micro archaeological dig. So we've got people digging through the sand to uncover what's under the ground, and they're uncovering a whole series of different assets or dimensions of public space, so be it play facilities or car parking, or in this space here we've got cannons and trees and all kinds of fantastic things. So people are finding them in the sand, and they're taking those elements and moving them around and restructuring them in a fantastic great big model that the students have built of the space. So they're model making with plasticine and other tools to shape the future, albeit at a micro scale, but setting the context for future change.
Actually, it's good to see the model because when I was down with you probably about a week and a half ago or so, talking about it, it's actually good to see the model there now.
Yes. The model is it's a fairly sizable thing, but it gives everyone the opportunity to gather around and use it as a focus for discussions and activity. The model is obviously a kind of catalyst to kind of draw out people's dreams and desires, and we've got people building new cafes and restaurants, we've got people unearthing hidden ships, we've got people extending the bounds of the river and bringing wildlife back into the space, all modelled and in fantastic technicolor in the modelling clay. So it's looking really good.
So what's happening at the other end of the library?
At the other end, we're working with a younger audience. So we're working in the kids' library. We've got Laura, who's doing some fantastic work making X-ray specs and masks with the younger kids. And they're using those masks to look back in time, but also look into the future. So when they put their masks on, they sketch out and draw ideas as a kind of space detective. So they've got their little notebook and they're making notes about what they like and obviously working with these kids as the kind of future users of the space and the kind of future citizens of Medway.
So was there anything else you'd like to cover quickly, Robert?
Yes, I think we'd just like to thank Peter from the University of Kent and all his students who put in a fantastic effort to make today happen, but especially to the guys at Medway Libraries, Sarah and Richard, who've made the space available, and we've taken a slightly different tact from perhaps what they normally do in their day-to-day life, but they've been really supportive and we'd like to thank them.
Well, thank you for speaking to us and telling us all about how today's going.
Cheers, Daniel.
So we're now joined with Richard. Firstly, Richard, thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're very welcome.
Now, I was wondering if you could perhaps start off by telling us your role here at the library.
I'm a community librarian for this library, so I work building partnerships with people and trying to encourage more people to use the library and love books and reading.
So this event you tend to think as being something quite different from a library because it's quite active and there's music playing. Is that something different, or is that something you're doing more of to encourage people here?
More and more our libraries are encouraging more and more people to come in by doing different events and going a bit outside the box. So we're very pleased to support these students and hope that it brings more people into the library to discover more about what we do.
So it's been good working with the Kent Architecture Centre and the University of Kent to have this event here at your library.
Yeah, it's been fantastic working with them. They've been really enthusiastic about working in the library and about bringing what they can to to our buildings.
So is there anything else you'd like to tell us about what you do here at the library?
We have a full programme of talks in the evening and during the day, and other events running all the time. We have art exhibitions up in the library still, and events for children and young people. We have singing in the library every week, our Baby Bounce and Rhyme and Toddler Shake and Boogie events, and tends to be received very well by other library users, as has this.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We're now joined with Martin McKay, and we're out and about talking to people at the Creative People and Places Swale and Medway event being put on by the Kent Architecture Centre. I was wondering first if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're involved with this site.
Yes, I work for the council, and in fact I'm responsible for listed building, conservation areas and built heritage, so it's my job to know a little bit about the history of the area, and that's how I come to know about this area around Gun Wharf.
Right, okay. Now, I think you were actually going to tell us a little bit about, before we started the interview, you were showing me something out the window here, because we're in the old library in Medway.
Well, that's right, we're standing by a window just now. It's difficult to describe, I think, to the listeners. Yeah. It's a very rainy day, but we're actually standing in what used to be a storehouse of the Navy. And in fact, Gun Wharf is where ships, including HMS Victory, were loaded with their guns. So although it's much changed, it's a very historic area. We still have to know a bit more about it. It's possible, for example, that the car park right outside the window, there might just be a Spanish warship dating from the Armada underneath the car park, right. Which makes it all jolly interesting. And again, there's unobvious things around. Just again, opposite this building called Riverside 1, which looks completely not particularly historic.
Right.
But you can see the old defences, the big defensive walls sticking out of it, like it's a sausage roll. And if you know what you're looking at, it's really quite weird. And up above it, on the hillside, you can see the old defensive ditch. And that shows that this whole area was defended in the Napoleonic times. And it was the defences were to stop the French coming from Sheerness over the land, yep, and attacking the dockyard. So we're right on the edge of this militarised zone. Something people have forgotten about.
Well, I was going to say, it's one of those things, you walk past these buildings every day and you tend to see them, but you don't see them, if you see what I mean. So it's always good to find out the history behind them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think when people actually learn about it, and I think people in Medway in some ways have forgotten many aspects of their history, but it's really important for them. That's what I found. It gives them a sense of worth and an interest in the place, which they kind of need.
So this project at the moment has captured your interest because they're looking at this site and area.
Yeah, it's great, and people are coming up with ideas which I'm sure are interesting. For my own part, I think it's possible to do some fairly minor things here, which would explain the history a lot more and give something back to the people. We've got a big regeneration programme, of course, but and that can go hand in hand. That's not a problem.
Is there anything else you'd like to cover about this area?
Yes, something that a lot of people in Medway will have heard about, but not necessarily elsewhere. But the council, along with others, Chatham Historic Dockyard, Fort Amherst, Peel Holdings, a range of other people in the area, is developing a bid for World Heritage Site status for Chatham Historic Dockyard and its defences. And that would put it in the same league as, say, the pyramids in Egypt. In other words, pretty important. Yeah. The interesting thing as far as this immediate area we're in just now is that it is really part of the defences. And to go back to what I was saying earlier, that's something that can be reinterpreted and made more obvious to local people because it goes hand in hand with the dockyard, which people do know about. But it's a very exciting project, and we'll find out in a year or so time what's happening.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.
And that is all the interviews I did when I was out and about at the latest Creative People and Places Swale and Medway event at the Chatham Library. And I must say a big thank you to everyone who took the time out to speak to me while I was down there, and a big thank you to Chris Lamb at the Kent Architecture Centre for inviting me to come along.